This was the evening sky for me on October 12th around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and I was able to use Venus and Arcturus here to help me find Comet Tsuchinshan before everyone else at the park that was looking for it. And I'm glad that it was one of the few times where practice digitally actually worked out in practice in real life. So before we proceed, we need to make sure that the angle measure tool is affected or is enabled. So you may have seen me use this in other videos, and if you don't have this enabled, it's pretty easy. On the left hand side, you go to configuration window or click F2. You click on plugins on the top right hand side, and angle measure is the second option from the left navigation menu. You just click on load at startup. You can do some configurations. You can just keep it at default. The only change I've made over the last few weeks actually is just show measurements near mouse, because I find that it's easier to show when in video. Once you have that, you may have to reload or restart Stellarium. You may not need to, but restart it if you don't see the angle measure tool, and then it should show up at the bottom here. So you click on this, and we want to see how far Venus and the comet is. So what I did here is I just did this, and I can see that it's about 25 degrees. You don't have to be extremely precise, and since it's 25 degrees, it's perfect because we can use our hands to figure out exactly how far it is. And because I knew that the comet was near the same altitude as Venus, it was so much easier for me because I just put my camera there. I used one of my short refractors. I just parked my telescope at that direction, just took pictures until it eventually just showed up once it got dark enough, which was pretty cool. So that's 25 degrees, and if you don't know how to find this with your fingers, there is a really nice article on earthsky.com where it shows you how to use your fingers to find the degree. So luckily there's one for 25 degrees, which is your thumb and your pinky. There's also a really nice video by David Fuller on Eyes on the Sky, more than 12 years old, but it is excellent to help you figure out how you can do measurements with your hands. So that was actually easy for me. I'd planned to use Arcturus here, but because Arcturus is much dimmer than Venus and I was working on the same altitude, it was a lot easier for me. But when we go into other nights, so let's say we want to look at the 15th, October 15th, which is in a couple of days, we want to use the angle measure tool. So we'll say from Venus to C, it's about 21 degrees, you can say 20 degrees. And then from Arcturus, it's about 23 degrees. So you use both hands and try and measure out where they kind of meet. You know, put your pinkies on Venus and on Arcturus and kind of just do like the devil symbol or rock and roll, whatever this hand gesture is called, and have the thumbs meet in the middle. And all you need to do is just park your camera and your telescope and your camera lens here and just take some exposures and see what turns up. The only thing you need to keep in mind are the relative brightnesses of these. So Venus is super bright, -4. It's very easy to see. It's the first thing we saw before it even got dark. And then Arcturus is also fairly bright at 0.15 magnitude. It also appeared much earlier than Comet Tsuchinshan. And then once you get later in the month, you can start using these other stars, which are also somewhat bright, because Comet will be visible for later at night. So you can go like here, and you can see that the tail starts to come up. We have another fairly bright star here, 2.6 magnitude. But of course, the magnitude for A3 is around 3. I think the limiting magnitude for human vision is like 6 in really dark skies. Personally, I don't think I've ever seen anything below like 3.5 or 4 from a dark area, but I don't have the best vision. But then you can start using other stars like Alphecca, Rosal, Hague, and then Vega once it gets high enough, which it will, I think, later on. And then yeah, and then you can see that you just cut this in half. So from Venus to this is about 28 degrees, and from here to here is about 40 degrees. So it's a little bit more work, but it should be a little bit easier to find in the dark, especially if you use a camera. Seeing it naked eye at this point may be a little bit difficult, especially if you live near a city. So in practice, this is one of the images I took with my phone. You can see clearly where the comet is. It was naked eye visible at this time, which was actually really amazing. But imagine like 20 minutes earlier when it's much brighter. I have Venus here, it was also higher. So I was able to use just my one hand and figure out that the comet was somewhere around here, and I put both my camera and my telescope at this location, just took pictures until something appeared. Of course, here we have Arcturus, a really bad picture from my phone, but this is just to give you the idea that you can use other markers, especially Venus, since it's so bright, to help you find the comet. We still have a few more weeks of this comet. I hope you get a chance to go out and see it, whether it's with your eyes or with a camera. And during this event here, I ended up kind of crashing a baby shower. I tried not to go over there. I ended up like here outside of the fence because I didn't want to go in there. But this ended up into a really nice, spontaneous astronomy event. I lost count of how many people looked at the comet through my friend Nathan's telescope, his AT-72 ED, and my LCD screens on both my camera and my telescope. Good luck. Clear skies.